So let's discuss about difference between the Rotor syndrome and Dubin-Johnson syndrome. So first of all, you have to understand this is hepatocyte, and this is the side of portal vein from where this is coming. This blood is coming. Here you can see unconjugated bilirubin bound to albumin. Okay, and this is the side of bile flow. Here bile is flows. Okay, so this is just to give you orientation, and here it is unconjugated bilirubin bound to albumin, and here it is dissociated. Albumin and unconjugated bilirubin is dissociated, and it is transported by bilirubin transporter BT, and it this goes inside hepatocyte. Okay, and here it is bound to GST, glutathione transferase. Something is there, and it is bound, and it is exists in equilibrium with this GST. Okay, and here unconjugated bilirubin, why bonding occurs with GST, do you know? To trap the unconjugated bilirubin inside hepatocyte, otherwise it will leak outside again. Okay, and in this way there is equilibrium, and here you can see unconjugated bilirubin is acted on by this enzyme UGT1A1. Okay, and it forms monoglucuronide and diglucuronide. BMG is monoglucuronide, and this is bilirubin diglucuronide, and after it is conjugated, it is transported by MRP2. This protein transports into bile. Okay, so this bilirubin diglucuronide and this monoglucuronide is transported into bile. And another fate of this bilirubin diglucuronide and monoglucuronide is that a little amount is again goes inside portal vein through MRP3. So it goes into bile through MRP2, and it goes into portal vein through MRP3. 2 for bile and 3 for this blood portal side. Okay, and you have to also know this transporter OATP1B1. This is anion transporter. It transports anions. There is unconjugated bilirubin and diglucuronide are excreted on this side through MRP3, and this is again reuptake by this anion transporter. So other anions like dyes, like bromosulfane and indocyanine and other dyes are also and bile acids also uptaken by anion transporter, but bile acid transporter is unimpeded. It means bile acid transport can occur even there is defect in this transporter. So it means that bile acid transport is not conducted by this transporter, only anions. And this bilirubin, monoglucuronide and diglucuronide are transported by OATP1 B1, OATP1 B3. Okay, so what is the importance of this understanding these transporters? Yeah, because it will help to understand your Dubin-Johnson and Rotor syndrome. In Dubin-Johnson syndrome, there is defect in MRP2. So if this protein is not functional, what will happen? This conjugated bilirubin cannot go into inside bile acids and cannot flow into bile. So there is defect in MRP2. Biliary excretion of organic anions except bile acids is impaired. So organic anions except bile acids, because bile acid does not require that transporter, is impaired. And what happens in Rotor syndrome? In Rotor syndrome, there is defect in this protein OATP1 B1, OATP1 B3. So if there is defect, then this reuptake cannot occur. This when this is thrown outside in vein, in portal vein, it is reuptake by this transporter. But if there is defective OATP1 B1 B3, then this reuptake cannot occur. So deficiency of OATP1 B1 and OATP1 B3, there is deficiency, and there is also defect in intracellular storage of the bilirubin, conjugated bilirubin. Okay, and this is another point I will discuss this later. So did you understand this part? So defect in MRP2, Dubin-Johnson, and defect in OATP1 B1 and OATP1 B3 causes Rotor syndrome. and there is defect in intracellular storage of conjugated bilirubin in Rotor syndrome. So now move towards another point, and another point is regarding urinary excretion of coproporphyrin. So you know there are two isoforms, coproporphyrin 1 and coproporphyrin 3. Okay, in Rotor syndrome, what is the pattern of excretion of coproporphyrin in urine? The pattern in Rotor syndrome resembles that of many acquired disorders of hepatobiliary function, in which coproporphyrin 1, the major coproporphyrin isomer in bile, refluxes from the hepatocyte back into the circulation and is excreted in the urine. So normally what happens, the major is coproporphyrin 1, the major coproporphyrin isomer in bile refluxes from hepatocyte back into the circulation and is excreted in urine. Thus total urinary coproporphyrin excretion is substantially increased in Rotor syndrome in contrast to the normal levels seen in Dubin-Johnson syndrome. Although the fraction of coproporphyrin 1 in urine is elevated, it is usually less than 70% of the total compared to 80% or more in Dubin-Johnson syndrome. So here you can see the excretion is greater than 80%, but here coproporphyrin excretion is less than 70% and major fraction is coproporphyrin 1, but here in Dubin-Johnson major fraction is coproporphyrin 3. So that is another difference. Okay, and regarding BSP test, bromosulfonylene test, although it is not done nowadays, the disorders can also be distinguished by their patterns of BSP excretion. Although clearance of BSP from plasma is delayed in Rotor syndrome, there is no reflux of conjugated BSP back into the circulation as seen in Dubin-Johnson. In Dubin-Johnson, there is reflux of the BSP back into the circulation. Here, in Dubin-Johnson syndrome, since this is defective, there is reflux back of the BSP into the circulation in Dubin-Johnson. But in Rotor syndrome, there is no reflux back. That's why there is no secondary peak. Okay. Biphagic peak in BSP clearance. Retention of dye is nearly normal 45 minutes after injection, but there is secondary peak at 90 minutes. Why secondary peak? Because of the reflux of the BSP in the vein, in the blood. But here there is no reflux, so there is no secondary peak. Increased retention at 45 minutes and no secondary peak is seen. So this is the basic difference you should know about Dubin-Johnson and Rotor syndrome. These are both causes of conjugated hyperbilirubinemia, and with normal liver function tests